get everyone, BH here. Today look into this Lenovo ThinkStation P330. Now this here is the mini tower version, also known as SFF or small form factor. Now they do make another form factor which is a tiny form factor, and I've actually done a review for that. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link in the description below so you can actually check that out after this if you want. Now with the mini tower, basically it's just got more space, so you can actually put more hardware there. Now we'll quickly go through the specs of this computer here, or what it can be configured with. So with the processor here, it can be configured with anywhere between the Intel i3 all the way to the Xeon. Now because this is more related for businesses, they can spec them with vPro in them as well. Now with the RAM, of course, you can actually house 128 gigs non-ECC RAM, and then you can also get 64 gigs of ECC RAM. Now the ECC RAM is for the Xeons, of course. Now as for the hard drive wise, we'll come back to it a little bit later when I actually go through the internals of this computer here. So we can actually see what slots and what's available for it. As for the graphics card wise, what Lenovo have actually made available for the P330 is the Nvidia Quadro P400 all the way to the P1000. Now you can actually put your own graphics card as well, but you just need to make sure the graphics card is a slimline version so it can physically fit into the case itself. So at the front we've got a big ventilation for sucking in fresh air for the computer. We've got the power button, we've got the card reader here. Now this is a 7-in-1. We also have a microphone jack here, and we've got a combo jack. Now this is to put your headsets in or speakers in there. Then we've got a USB-C port. Now this is not a Thunderbolt port, so it's a USB 3.1 Gen 1. Now we also have two USB 3.1. Now these are Gen 2, and then we've got another two more USB 3. Now these are Gen 1. So looking at the ports at the back, we have the audio out on the bottom left hand corner here. And we also have the COM port or serial port. Now this is still there because it's actually very useful for scientific equipment. They still use this port here, so that's great, it's still there. And then we've got free display port. Now these free display ports is for the built-in graphics. If you not have dedicated graphics like this one here, which this is the Nvidia Quadro P400, so this one's got its dedicated graphics. When you have this, these won't work. But if you don't have this, then you run off these display ports here. Now then we've got two USB 3.1 Gen 1 port, and then we've got another two USB 2s here, and also the RJ45 Ethernet, and again there's the optional graphics card there, and then of course the power port there where you plug your power in. I do have to make a mention that for the actual design of this computer itself, it's got some very nice rounded edges, and you can't really cut yourself. I've had a few computers that actually really cut myself because the edges are so sharp, but this one here, they're all rounded, so it's actually really good in that sort of sense, so you can actually pick it up without having to worry about cutting yourself. So that's really good for this mini tower version of the P330. Now from the previous video of me unboxing this computer here, I look like a fool trying to figure out what this was. Now I figured out what it was, and pretty much it's a tower stand. So what this does is you're actually able to actually put the stand and just give more stabilization and just bring it a little bit off the ground as well too, so it can get better airflow there. Now you'll see actually two holes here, and they're actually for the rubber feet at the back here, and pretty much you just stand out here. I'll just show you how I install it right now. So the best way is just to actually bring this computer forward. I do that, slip it down, and you'll just find it locked in place down here. It'll be locked in place down there, and then just put it down here, and pretty much voila. It will just give it more stability so it doesn't tip as bad as well too, so it's kind of good there. And it's nice that they've actually bring that in there for that. But else, what you can do is with these ones here, they do have rubber feet at the bottom here as well too, so you can actually keep them down here, and then of course you can then just bring the monitor up here to stand on there as well too. So you can have that kind of method as well too. So there's two ways you can actually have the computer there. And of course the DVD is designed for you can actually have it on upright or horizontal there. Interesting enough, when I was actually performing the latency test for the sound engineers, they had some really interesting results. Now with the 5-minute mark, it was actually pass all the testers with flying colors. That was not a problem there. But when it came to the 2-hour mark, it was failing all the testers no matter how many times I ran it. So I delved a little bit deeper and I found out one of the issues it was. And what happened is Lenovo by default for the P330 mini tower, they do set the CPU fan to be quiet. So it would actually do a bit of CPU throttling for that, and that's what caused a lot of the issues for the latency test. So what you need to do is go into the BIOS and unlock the fan so it's able to go up a little bit more quicker, and it will actually, of course, you'll get sound as well. So Lenovo try to keep it quiet, but as a performance computer and you actually need it for stats and stuff like that, I would say unlock that fan so you can actually run the CPU at its much more better performance there. So I'll show you how to do that in the BIOS. Once the computer is in its off state, turn the computer on and make sure you hit F1. Just keep repeatedly hitting F1 button there until you see it go into the BIOS. Once you hit F1, it goes to the BIOS, you'll be in here. So once you do that, or you need to go to power settings, go down to intelligence, cooling, and engine. And then at the moment, you'll see the intelligent performance mode is set to a better acoustics performance. If you select better thermal performance or full speed, probably better thermal performance is probably better. You'll find that you actually be able to run the CPU a lot more higher in speed and for a longer extended period of time as well too. So that's kind of better, which just gives a nice good balance there. And then after that, press F10 and save. It'll reboot the computer and you're good to go. So I've got the fan running at maximum speed here, and you're looking at 56 decibels. When I tested out the internal speakers of the P330, it managed to peak at 75.4 decibels. Now they're not fantastic speakers there, and I don't expect it to be. Most of these workstations don't have great speakers, and more than likely you will plug in headsets or speakers to this computer to actually do your work. So let's open up the computer and see what's inside. So there are two thumb screws here, and you probably just undo them. Now I've noticed when you initially get this computer, more than likely it's a little bit tight, and you just need to quickly use a tool just to loosen up a little bit. But after that, you're pretty good to go. So it'd be screwless after that. So all we need to do is take the screws out and pretty much pull it downwards, and then you can then lift it very easily. And that's the actual inside of the computer. Now this processor is sitting right here with this processor fan there and heatsink, of course, underneath. And then we've got the dedicated graphics. So there's my P400 in this one here. Now there are 3 times PCIe slots here, and at the moment you'll see one blanked out there. So that's the optional one there. Now I'm going to show you how to open the rest of the stuff up here. So I might have to move the camera a little bit here, down here. So what we got, and I also forgot to say, this is the power supply here as well too. So now to actually open this section here, easy way to do is you need to pop these 3 tabs up. Once you pop, that's the front cover there, gone. And then you can then push this one down or push it down to this way here. Once you pull that one down, that releases that button there. So you can then just kind of lift this up and lift it forward, and that will then open up the rest of the slots here. So at the moment you can see there's the DVD slots right there. So looking on the right hand side of the DVD drive, if you press down this tab, you actually get the actual caddy for the 3.5-inch hard drive. You can put it in there, which is great, and you can just pretty much slot that back in. All right, down there. Now down here is the M.2 slot here for the SSD hard drive. It's got a bit of a heat sink in there, which is great, which means it can run pretty hot there, which is great, and it'll be actually dissipate the heat there. But it's great to see they've got a heat sink in there. After that, you'll also see down this side here, we've got 4 slots of a SATA interface there, and then we don't have to worry about all these down here. And then we've got 4 DIMM slots for your RAM slots. And also down here, you actually have the CMOS battery there, which is good to reset the CMOS battery if you need to. Now I did perform the benchmarks for this P330. Now this particular P330 is configured with an i7 with 32 gigs of RAM. So I'll put up the benchmark scores here. So I did ran Pass Mark, 3D Mark, PC Mark 10, Citybench R15 and Citybench R20, and the latency mon, so after 5 minutes and after 2 hours. Now the P330 is a great computer. It is great design and great to support. These computers are designed to crunch a lot of numbers for a very long extended period of time, pretty much 24/7 what you're looking at. Now, if you enjoyed this video or find it informative, give it a like, and if you haven't done it already, subscribe to my channel by hitting that subscribe button on the bottom right screen. I try to upload a new video every Tuesday. And just remember, imperfections in life makes it beautiful and interesting. I'll see you next video.